We'll hit that one. Good morning. It is 10 o'clock straight up. We are on time as we need to be. 10 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast. Boogie with the Bull Friday morning, Red Friday morning caffeine. And we have special guest Bill Muckler with us. We'll talk about Red Friday. We will continue talking about Bill's book, chapters 2, 3, 4, and the first 2 pages of chapter 5. And maybe what goes on further, and any other political commentary Mr. Muckler has to have with us. Excuse me, Captain Muckler decides to have with us. As you're reading the book, I guess you'll find that Sophie, one of the characters, has just come out of the military. I believe it was the Army after 30 years. So she is kind of having that adjusting life, and I'm kind of getting the impression, Bill, that she probably doesn't. She may just continue doing what she did in the Army, but as a civilian, along with other civilians. I don't want to ruin anything for people who haven't read it.
Well, as the story progresses, we'll learn more about why Sophie left the Army, and one of the things we'll find out is that she was in Army intelligence, and apparently very very well connected with a lot of intelligence sources, and she has learned about potential attacks by terrorists on American soil, and she tries to explain this to the higher ups, who don't want a woman telling them what to do, and they don't. And she's up for general. They don't want her to achieve stardom. It's well, I'll just let you read it and go on from there. But typical American political theater, especially in the military and intelligence, where nobody wants anybody to get any credit. They want it all for themselves.
All right. So again, anyway, for people, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, go on.
I was going to say, for anyone who doesn't know, this is the book, Six Soft Targets. It's Bill's first novel. And I can tell you, being one who really doesn't have the discipline to sit and read, that as you start reading, you're going to want to keep reading. Yeah. 300 pages, you might be able to read it in one sitting. If not, do what I'm doing. Read as many chapters as you can. They're not long chapters, 5, 6, 7, 8 pages. A lot of thought that gets you going. Some things that you do need to think about as you're reading along, but very, very easy to read. And so you go to the Bill Muckler Facebook page and his profile, hit him up on Facebook Messenger, and he will give you all the information that is needed. And you'll give him the information. And yes, you will get an autographed copy of Bill's books, which is always a treasure to have. And you can also talk to Bill about buying the 2020 books, 2020, A Clear Vision for America, 2020, A Clear Vision for Our Future, which I still refer to as the Conservative Patriot Broadcaster's Bible. And we'll talk about those in shows in the future. The 2 things that come to my head is that Bill would support closing the Department of Education in Washington, D.C., returning that to the states, and shutting down the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, and I assume giving that responsibility back to the states, which can be a blessing in some cases. Here in Florida, we don't have a state income tax, but I'm sure we make up for it in every other tax that we're paying, but at least you're not paying an income tax. But anyway, Bill, it's Red Friday, and however you
Well,
want to take it.
in Florida, the way we survive is we have a lot of tourists who end up paying a lot of what I think are pretty high taxes, hotel, lodging taxes, etc., that type of thing. As far as the book is concerned, I received an order on late Wednesday afternoon for 7 copies. So one of my readers got a book and ordered 7 copies and it's in the email, a list of everybody to sign them to. All family and friends of them. They want to all have a
Fantastic.
copy. So
Good.
that's pretty much been the success of my writing. Is that when people read it, they'll suggest or refer me to other readers, or they'll buy copies for friends and so forth. So that sounds like you got a squeak there, Dave.
Yeah, we have a smoke alarm battery that
I know.
will get
And
chased.
the thing is, they're 9-volt batteries and they're difficult. You got to take them down. I just replaced one in each one of my bedrooms. The one in one bedroom went out. A few weeks later, the one in the other bedroom went out, and boy, when you're sleeping and all of a sudden that thing's going off in your bedroom, it's pretty hard to sleep.
It is. A landlord in Massachusetts decided that because he told everybody that when they go off, let him know, and he'd come by with a 9-volt battery and he'd change them all in the bedrooms. Then I guess he got tired of that happening in the other apartment, so he eventually had them all hardwired. I thought in rental housing in Massachusetts now, they do have to be hardwired so that you don't have to worry about a battery not being in them and working. I don't know what it is in Florida, but it started about 3 a.m. And yes, we will turn the mic off when I'm not talking, and we will get it replaced this afternoon. We were out yesterday and I needed AAA batteries, so I bought some of them, but I didn't know that I was going to need 9 volts, so I didn't buy them.
Yeah, they're expensive, and you don't want them laying around because that's no good either. Usually you have to buy a 2-pack, and that's what happened with me. I bought the 2-pack, so it worked out well for me. But if batteries sit around for a couple of years without you using them, I guess they lose some of their life. Anyway, let's get on to Red Friday. And yesterday, of course, was a very big day for America because it celebrates, in a sense, America's birthday. It celebrates our Day of Independence. And I have so many people wish me a happy 4th of July. And, I just have to, I have to control myself. I have to smile and say thank you and so forth, because it's like Memorial Day. People wish me a happy Memorial Day, and I don't want to be happy about our young men and women who have been killed in battle. And I don't want to remember the 4th of July. I don't care about a 4th of July. I care about independence, and that's what we're losing. We're losing independence. We're becoming dependent on the government. But anyway, while getting that, I want to do Red Friday first. Okay, everybody knows that when I talk about Red Friday, I'm talking about remembering everybody deployed. And I've kind of expanded that to just try and remember everybody that's on active duty, because they can be deployed in a heartbeat. And I want to go over and I want to make sure that I get this straight, because I've been reading a lot of stuff, and there's an article that I was concerned with. U.S. military bases across Europe have been put on a heightened state of alert due to potential terrorism threats. The bases, including the U.S. Army garrison in Stuttgart, Germany, raised their alert level to Force Protection Condition Charlie this past Sunday, June 30th, This status is applied when an incident occurs or intelligence is received indicating that a terrorist action or targeting against personnel or facilities is likely. And a U.S. government official said, "We haven't seen this threat level in at least 10 years. So our young men and women they're in harm's way. And now they're being told they're on force protection condition Charlie, which is a very heightened alert against terrorism. So when they go to work, when we go to work or we're retired, Dave and I are retired, but you go out, you get in your car, you drive to work, and you hope that you're going to be safe. And boy, I'll tell you, in the States now, we're not as safe as we used to be. But these guys, when they go to work, they're in harm's way before they even get out the door. So the German government has even brought in 580 international police officers to assist with security for our servicemen. So that's a good thing. Thank you, Germany, for doing that. So, Dave, well, we're just so fortunate that we live in a country where we have young men and women who are still willing to serve our nation and protect us, protect our freedoms, protect our life and liberty.
We do.
Yeah, that's why I want to remember them. Now, let's talk about Independence Day.
Okay.
Actually, I want to read something from, and this is going to be page 7 of 2020 Clear Vision for Our Future. And I wrote in there, and this is a quote, that all men are by nature equally free and independent, and have certain inherent rights, of which, when they enter into a state of society, they cannot by any compact deprive or divest their posterity, namely the enjoyment of life and liberty and the means of acquiring and possessing property and pursuing and obtaining happiness and safety. Now, most people have never heard of that before. They thought, where did that come from? Is that in the Declaration of Independence? Well, it is and it isn't. It is if you want to read the Declaration of Independence for the Commonwealth of Virginia, which in June, when this was written, June 12th of 1776, I guess that would be about 3 weeks or so before the Declaration of Independence that we're all familiar with was written. There were no states then. They were colonies. They were British colonies, and they were under the rule of King George III, brutal ruler, the king. And so what these colonies were doing is they were assembling legislatures, and they were setting out how they wanted to be governed, and they wanted to govern themselves. They didn't want the British government and King George III to govern them. So they wrote this in Virginia. Now, George Mason was the leader of this, and I hope everybody's heard of George Mason. He's one of our founding fathers. Some of the participants that were involved in the writing of this Declaration of Independence for the Commonwealth of Virginia was a 33-year-old attorney by the name of Tom Jefferson. And Tom then took that And I guess if he'd have had today's computer capabilities, he could have done a copy and paste job to write the Declaration of Independence for the United States of America. So what I'm trying to get at is our founding fathers, Ben Franklin, I guess, was fairly aged by that time, and George Washington, not really that old at that time, not in 1772. And now you're saying, oh, it's 1772. I thought it was 1776. All this really kind of started, it just, and all of a sudden on July 4th, boom, everything blew up. No, this was all boiling up, going back many years, and really started gaining a lot of momentum around 1972. Remember the Boston Tea Party, when the good people in Massachusetts said, we're not going to pay all these taxes to King George III and not have any say at all in our government. We ain't going to do it. We're done with it, because they were ruled by the British Army, and they were so brutal in what they did, and they could take anything they wanted, they could do anything they wanted, and so the people who we think of as our founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson was 33 years old. Does anybody know that in Christmas Day of 1776, that when Washington crossed the Delaware, he wasn't the only president that was in the boat? There was another president in the boat too, James Monroe, who was 19 years old at the time. Alexander Hamilton was about 20 years old when Washington got him to really kind of run the Revolutionary War for him. Washington was the idea guy, but Alexander Hamilton was the guy that made everything happen. He made sure that we had bullets and boots and everything else. If it wouldn't have been for Alexander Hamilton, we wouldn't have had the funds and the resources and materials and everything we needed to win the Revolutionary War. We wouldn't have had George Washington with his vision, we couldn't have done it. So that's what our country is. So all these guys, Madison, everybody, these were all young guys. But they had one thing in common. They did not want to be dependent on the government. And now look what's happened to us. 248 years later, we're dependent on the government. What in the hell are we thinking about? And here again, people say, oh boy, he's ranting and raving again. It's so boring because he's not talking about the things that are really important to me. And what's important to me is I want to know who's going to be the vice president, and I want to know who's going to do this, who's going to do that, and all the rest of this crap. And I'm thinking, all I care about is what happens to the future of this idea, this great experiment that we call freedom and liberty in the United States, where we are independent of government rule. And now what we're doing, we're hell-bent on getting to be dependent on the government as fast as we can. We got to have everybody on food stamps. We got to be on welfare. We got to have Section 8 housing. We got to have everything.
No, we don't. I don't think we need to. They're standing before us and they're saying we need to have Section 8 housing. We need to have food stamps for everybody. We need to have this. We need to have that. I uploaded into some of the Facebook groups yesterday a screenshot from Tom Fitton from Judicial Watch of the non-citizen voting application. I guess it's an application, if you are not a citizen, that you fill out and you will be allowed to vote. Now, I believe Justice Watch, Tom Fitton's organization, has filed suit against the federal government that's illegal. But I just, it's gone too far. Every day you hear a new state governor is giving them driver's licenses. To me, a driver's license is the first of being able to vote. Uh,
Yeah.
no, no, just absolutely not. And I mean, I don't mean to be mean to them, but you see, most of them have landscaping jobs anyway, and you see an old beat up van picks up a van load full of these people and takes them and drops them where they work. They don't need that. When they go shopping, it takes them shopping. I don't know about how they live. I don't know if they live in a Section 8 place. But I mean, no, it is time to say to America and time for our fellow Americans to get united and say, if we don't take care of a lot of this stuff before the November 5th election, we're going to be in trouble after the November 5th election. And now I guess people are harping on the Supreme Court because immunity being given to a president under, as long as it was constitutional powers that they did things with, that's a two-way street. Joe Biden got it. Donald Trump got it. Every president before and after them already had it. So, I mean, where are we, Bill? Are we in trouble if Trump wins? Are we in trouble if Biden wins? Are we in trouble if the Democrats throw somebody else in and they win? Where are we? Is the office of president so corrupt that maybe we need to do some work on that?
We're in trouble. We're in deep trouble. And let me tell you why we're in deep trouble. Today, the statistics from June came out. They always come out on a Friday, the first Friday of the month. Unemployment went up to 4.1%. Now everybody's saying, "Oh, that's going to cause the stock market to react or whatever." And oh boy, we're in trouble. That's a U6 indicator, and that's really a manipulated, made-up number. Yeah, so unemployment has gone up a little bit. What's really important, why our country's really in trouble, and I've just done some research on this. I wrote in my book that our labor participation rate was 63.5% or somewhere around there. I've read now where it's now 61.1%. Now, nobody's paying attention to this number, but this is really what it's all about. This U6 number of 4.1%, that's just a survey of households. Survey of 60,000 households. Are you working, not working, et cetera, et cetera. What the hell does that do? What does that tell us? And then they changed what goes into the numbers every time the numbers look bad, so it makes it look good. So we're saying our unemployment rate is 4.1%, which means that everybody in America is working except for 4.1%. And that's not true. Our labor participation rate is now 61%, 63%. That means the people who could be eligible to work. Not everybody that's retired or people who are like 3 years old or less than under 16 or whatever, they're not included in this. 61 or 63%, whatever number is accurate, of the people are working. What does that tell me? That tells me 39% of the people aren't working. Well, this phony 4.1% number says that everybody's working except for 4.1% of the people. Well, that's BS. It's not true. It's more like 37 to 39% of the people aren't working. Now, we know that close to 50% of the people are on some kind of government subsistence. And I'm not talking about old guys like me who are on Social Security, who paid into Social Security all of his life. I'm talking about people who never did anything and they're getting free stuff.
Yep. It's got to end. It's got to end.
When I say we're in deep trouble, okay, if we're not working, if 40%, 37% of the people in America aren't working, how the hell are we going to build a great country? All right, now let's take this a little bit further. We got a national debt of $35 trillion. If Trump gets elected, by the time he's done in 4 years, it's probably going to be somewhere around 43 or 44 trillion dollars. If Biden's elected, it's going to be like $50 trillion. We're in deep trouble. You can't sustain that kind of debt. And personal debt. We just crossed over about a year ago. Personal credit card debt exceeded $1 trillion. Then I heard a few months ago it was 1.5 trillion. Now it's like 1.05 trillion. Now it's like 1.1, 1.2 trillion dollars. And now, and student loan debt, they're talking about that. They say, well, it's really only $1.8 trillion. And mortgage debt is only $6 trillion. Well, you start adding all that stuff up, right, and our personal debt's $10 trillion. Our country's debt is $35 trillion. Who in the hell's going to pay for all this? We're bankrupt, and the politicians won't admit it and won't tell us that.
Or my 6-week-old granddaughter, who doesn't even know what debt is in debt before she even knows what it is, or if she grows up and gets married and has great-grandchildren for us, that no.
So
you
anyway,
sit here today and keep saying the word great, and they're going to be so much in debt that
I came up with the solutions for this in my book, and I wish, but the politicians don't want solutions, because with solutions they'd be out of work. Because one of the solutions is term limits, is that you can only serve a certain amount of time and then you're gone. And we bring somebody new and fresh in, and we actually go about the business of the country. Well, the politicians want us to believe that the country can't exist and can't function unless they're there, because they've got all this experience. They've got the experience of building up $35 trillion worth of debt and building up $10 trillion worth of personal debt and having 20, 30 million illegals come across our border and now living in our country on free stuff, and having our country, and they're so experienced that they got us up to where we got 60% of the people are working and 40% of the people aren't working. That's the kind of experience that we need to reelect all these people. Well, I'm saying they got to go. And I spell all this out. It's just common sense to do that. And Dave, you mentioned about the Department of Education. We didn't have a Department of Education until 1979. And at that time, our students tested #1 in all subjects, in all areas, internationally. Now we're in the 30s, and we're spending billions and billions, $80 billion a year just on the federal government. And we spend, who knows, $700, $800 billion a year on education, of which only half of it goes towards actual in-class education. The rest of it goes
in the pocket,
in some kind of black hole somewhere.
In the pocket. Yep. In the pocket.
Yeah.
Running the Department of Justice. So,
so
General America, we can call us all domestic terrorists.
We're dependent on the federal government to educate our children. And we know that the federal government is not very good at doing much of anything.
No.
They certainly aren't very good at educating children. When people say, school boards are county school boards. But anyway, they're all subject to the Department of Education puts out. And let me bring another reason why I say we're in deep trouble. Dave, last year, I think Congress wrote and enacted somewhere around, 418 law bills or something like that. But the unelected bureaucrats did something like 7,000, or no, it was 37,000 regulations. So we've got a whole class, and the Democrats deny this, the pundits deny it. They say there's no such thing as a deep state. Well, you can call them whatever you want to call them, but we have an unelected class of bureaucrats who are in Washington, D.C., who write regulations. And they can fine people. They can cause people to do anything they want them to do. The EPA is one of the worst of them all. And what do the Democrats say? Hey, what do you want? It's the conservatives want dirty water and dirty air. Well, what a bunch of crock of you know what that is.
Right.
Nobody wants dirty water and dirty air, but I don't want to see some farmer fined and penalized $5,000 because he got some rainwater puddled on his farmland for a couple of weeks, and they said, "Well, that's a violation of the Wetlands Acts."
Oh, please.
You know, all this crap is going on. Everything is against the people, and we're dependent on the government now, and we're dependent on the government to do all this stuff. And we got a bunch of radicals that are running our country. Boy, I don't have any faith in them at all, and they don't have any experience. I've got firsthand actual working experience with some of these groups, and they are totally inept and incompetent, and all they are about is the ideology that they were force-fed and indoctrinated with when they were in college.
Would you have run for the House or the Senate if you had the opportunity,
No,
Bill?
I wouldn't have anything to do with it because one person can't fix this whole thing. If the only person that can fix it is somebody that's going to be the president, and it's not going to be a bottom up. It's going to have to be a top down. As president, I would institute my 2020 visions, and we would get rid of the income tax. We would take all the people who don't belong here and put them in a caravan, and they would go south across the Texas border.
Yeah.
And
would we make it more difficult so that they couldn't get in if they got here? Would we finish up a permanent border?
The border would be locked on to where a scorpion couldn't even worm his way through.
Yeah. Would you support if anyone came to the border and legally came in, just figured out what door to go knock on, and turned themselves in seeking political asylum, and they actually deserve it here, and say they were a contractor in Honduras or Mexico or whatever, would you support bringing those people in and saying, hey, you're going to help us build this wall, and we're going to educate you while you're working on that wall, and when you complete that wall, we're going to review you, and if you did good by the United States of America, we will make you a naturalized citizen, or you just think they all got to be picked up and delivered out back where they came from, and no one gets in anymore unless they come in the right way?
You're right. They're all gone, and nobody comes in, because if anybody wants to declare political asylum, there's a process for that. There's laws for that. They go to the embassy and they apply for that. They don't sneak across the border or come up there right across the river and say, I want asylum, because we all know that's BS. There's no, they're not persecuted religiously and politically.
Right.
I mean, these are just
it took my brother-in-law.
People, you know.
Yeah, took my brother-in-law.
Go through the process. We've got like about 1 million or so people that are that are legal immigrants that are in the 10-step naturalization process. Yeah. They've applied properly. That's the way to do it. So your example of somebody who really deserves political or religious asylum, they go to the embassy. When they're in the embassy, they got sanctuary there. They're safe. They can make that application. It can be reviewed. We can find out who they are. These people coming across the border, what people don't understand is we're used to in the United States, somebody's born, you have a birth certificate, you get a social security card, you get all this stuff. They don't have that in these third world countries. They don't have birth certificates. They don't have driver's licenses. They don't have social security cards. They don't have any damn identification. And so when they come to the border, Jose Lopez can say, my name is Jorge Martinez. Who in the hell knows the difference?
You're right. You're right. You're right. And what bothers me more and more is when you dig into the whole border situation. Trump gave them in his first term enough to finish, excuse my English, the damn wall and beef up immigration and ICE, border patrol, whatever, all that, and like you said, I got to wonder where that money went. Where that money went, and it's sad. I mean, we're the only, keeps getting drummed into my head by everybody who joins me on a broadcast. We're the only country in the world that does not have permanent borders that you can't just walk over. I mean, if you go to China and you just walk across the line, they're going to spend 50 years to life in prison. You go to Russia, who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah, you get shot before you walk across the border.
Yeah, I mean it's a sad state of affairs that you're nearing 89 and I'm a few months into 62, and I never thought I would see my country this way. I never thought that there would be a president, regardless of party. I never thought that we would see a president who just is not capable of being president. And I'm very open about my dementia. It's only in the early stages. Joe Biden is about 20 years further down the road than I am in his 80s. But even where I am now, if I was president, regardless of how well I was doing and how well everybody loved me, I'd have to sit everybody down and just say, hey, to give you what you need, I can't do it anymore. And we have this clown on the other side who is just saying, no, I'm going to stay here because I'm the best president we've ever had. This, that, and the other. And to me, that's part of the effing dementia. Excuse my effing there. If you can't see how bad you're doing, then that's the time. That's the time to pack it up. And then I get scared, and then I'll give you the mic back. I get scared because if they did really steal it for Biden, and they knew where he was 4 years ago, when they stole it, you got to figure they immediately went to work to make sure in 2024 they could steal it again.
Yep.
So I mean, and what bothers me more than the fact that they could steal it is they want to steal it to keep a guy in there who just shouldn't be there.
You nailed it.
And if we remove, I said I would rather he finish up the 5 months that he has left, only because giving Kamala Harris 5 months, I'm going to say a bad word again, scares the hell out of me. Just scares the hell out of me. I mean, she can do whatever she wants as long as it falls into immunity under constitutional powers from the Supreme Court. And then at the end of the 5 months, just say, you're right. Trump was elected, and I'm gonna retire. But a lot can happen in 5 months if you know what you're doing, as opposed to a lot can happen in 5 months if you don't really know what you're doing or you're not aware of what you're doing. And people ask me all the time, is Joe Biden really the president? Is Joe Biden telling Joe what to do? And is Joe doing whatever she tells him to do? I'm getting really sick and tired there. I will give you the mic after this. I'm getting really sick and tired of seeing the Bidens, Dr. Jill and President Joe, out in public. And Dr. Jill is speaking for Joe, and all he's doing is smiling there. And then like I said, I'll turn it over to you. And
okay, yeah, let me let me speak to that as well. Obviously, Joe Biden is clueless as to where he is or what he's doing. Everything that he comes up with, that he talks about, that is on a teleprompter. If he's not on a teleprompter, he's completely lost. So, did you see her in that outlandish black dress with the word "vote" all over it? I mean, it kind of looked like something from the 1960s Batman TV show, where with something the Joker would wear, or somebody like that, or the Penguin, or whoever it was. I mean, it was a comic. It's a comic book thing. And she's standing there and she looks at Joe and she says, "Joe, you told them everything. Joe, you did great. Joe, you answered all the questions." Was she a cheerleader or something like that? I have no idea. But anyway, I didn't read her thesis, her doctorate thesis, but from what I understand, people who have read it said it was the most inane piece of garbage they'd ever read, and it didn't have she can't even write a decent sentence. She cannot spell. I mean, it was just so poorly written and made no sense whatsoever. But that's a product of our education now, is that you don't have to be competent in anything. All you have to do is just exist, and you get promoted, you get your degrees.
Isn't she still teaching?
No.
Oh, okay.
There
seemed to be talk that she was insistent that she was going to keep her job as first lady. And as far as I'm concerned, I thought maybe that was why you remove her as first lady. I don't know what happens with the position of first lady, but you remove her. If my wife Donna came to me and said, "I want to keep working, doing what I'm doing, and I don't want to have the responsibilities of first lady," then I think I would honor that, as opposed to Joe Biden. If she's still teaching, she has her hand on the heads of people who need to learn how this country works. And I got to say, the wrong person doing it. I wouldn't want people. I'd want to take her class just so I could see how stupid she is when she teaches.
Well, when you asked me if she still teaches, and I said no, the reason I said no is I don't have any evidence of that. All I can do is she's always with him whenever he's traveling. When he goes abroad, she's with him. When he's at the debates, she's with him. When he's at these rallies, these campaign events, she's always there. So if she's always there, when's she in a classroom? And if you're a teacher, you're pretty much you're in a classroom Monday through Friday, aren't you?
Right. Well, now the interesting thing, people seem to say every once in a while, under their breath and then sometimes over their breath, we get into discussions a lot, that maybe there is more than one Joe Biden. It's not the same guy every time you see him. And they'll show video of the back of his head and loose skin and go, that should not be there, or the ears or something. So I'm just saying, play with me for a second. If they have 10 different Joe Bidens and they just unplug one and use a different one each day, they got 10 of her too? Because I got to imagine, if they have 10 of her running around telling the other 10 what to do, even if they have one of her running around telling the other 10 what to do, that's all the more reason for me to vote Republican.
I think there's only one of her. I think she's one of a kind. I've heard these stories, and I've seen a lot of this about there's more. The Joe Biden has a stand-in, so it wouldn't be like 10 of them, but he would have a stand-in, and I I can't say that he doesn't have an actor or somebody that they've got him made up to look like him and talk like him. That's what actors do, and so maybe there is a double, a stand-in actor for him, and there is two of them because sometimes you have to wonder. But whenever we see him, the thing that I see all the time that I notice is whenever we see him walking, he's got this strange way of walking that they say has something to do with his physical and mental conditions. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know about that, but I can tell. And he walks next to somebody, he's different than everybody else. And I've never seen him walk naturally. I always see this strange gait of his that makes me wonder,
It does affect your gait. The information that I got from different neurologists that I have is that usually dementia comes with either Alzheimer's and or Parkinson's, and he's making me wonder if it's both because his walking is very stiff and rigid at times, and I don't know. I just think the guy needs to go home and I heard that supposedly he owns an island 9 miles away from Epstein Island. Well, maybe he needs to go move to that island.
He should go soon. Well, the first thing is I can take this back and I can put the blame of this on Obama. Obama should have never got the guy to be vice president back in 2008 in the first place. That was the big mistake that Obama made. And then he continued to make more mistakes one after another, like the Affordable Care Act and every other damn thing that he did.
Was it Obama's choice, or do you think that people above Obama said, you're going to take Joe Biden, and they must have obviously had some reason as to why he was going to take Joe Biden? I'm still in awe, and maybe you can tell me because you've seen more presidential elections than I have. But in the history of our country, aside from Barack Obama, has there ever been a first-term senator or first-term senator? Because in the House, you don't really do anything that to me that shows that you can really go from the House to being president. But in the history of our country, 248 years, has there ever been another senator, first-term senator that went? Well, Ted Kennedy was a senator. Did he serve more than one term before he became president?
You're talking about John Kennedy.
Yeah, I meant to say.
Yeah.
If I said Ted, I apologize because I personally. We all know about Ted. We all know why Ted never ran to be president. So if I said Ted, I apologize. I meant to say John.
I'm not sure if I was around there actually. As a Marine officer, I served under Eisenhower and Kennedy. So I was in the 50s and 60s when Eisenhower was president, Kennedy became president. Kennedy was a senator from Massachusetts, and I don't know if that was his first term or second term. I just don't recall.
Okay.
But if there is anybody, I know what you're bringing up. Typically, senators do not make good presidents. Senators never had to make a payroll. Senators never had to make sure that the doors were locked or that the business opened up at 6 or 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. Senators never had to supervise groups of people. They've never had to do anything like that. Actually, these senators, they're like princes, everybody does everything for them. They have drivers, they have these staffs, they have everything. I mean, they're like royalty. anyway, the senators have never done very well. I can go back to, in my lifetime, 1935. In 1932, Roosevelt was elected president. Before him was Hoover. Hoover was a governor, I think. Roosevelt was governor of New York. After him, Harry Truman came in. Harry was vice president for a while, but yeah, he was a senator from Missouri before he became vice president. So, and I think he was only maybe 1 or 2 terms. And after him, then was Eisenhower, who was a general. Then Kennedy. Then Nixon, who was a governor, and also he was in the House of Representatives for a while, and also vice president for 8 years. So, yeah, I've never had any faith in senators being presidents. I think governors or businessmen have the ability of knowing how to run, how to run large organizations or entities.
So, with Eisenhower having been a great general and taken us through a successful military conflict, uh, did that give him enough experience to be able to move into the White House along with a crew that knows how the White House actually functions to be beside him and say, you can't. We understand what you want to do, but you have to slightly trim the edges and do it this way. It's not the same as being a general out in the field and just say, do this, and it's done.
Well, the thing about being a general is, at first he was a lieutenant and got experience doing that. Then he was a captain and got experience at that level. Then a major, then a colonel, and then a general. So he spent a lot of time. He wasn't all of a sudden, okay, you just step out of nowhere and now you're a general. No, you work your way up, because back then you got promoted based on merit. It ain't that way anymore, but back then it was on merit. Eisenhower, to me, was a great president. Eisenhower had a vision. Under Eisenhower is when we started the space program. Now, Kennedy gets all the credit for it because he gave some nice speeches, but the space program was actually started in the 50s under Eisenhower. That's where it got momentum. Space program was actually part of the Army Redstone program. That was based in Huntsville, Alabama, before it even moved down to Cape Canaveral in Florida. Eisenhower is a guy who had the vision for the interstate system for America. Boy, that turned out to be a good deal. Eisenhower is a guy who deported 1.5 million illegals back to Mexico, out of our country and back out. Eisenhower did so many things. I could spend a couple hours talking about all the great things Eisenhower did, because he was a great man. He had great experience because he had done things all of his life. He worked his way up doing things. Biden became a senator when he was in his 30s and has never done anything but bullshit everybody for the last 50 years. He's never done anything, never accomplished anything other than peddle a lot of influence.
Did Biden ever actually have as a lawyer? I mean, we all understand that he was like so close to the bottom of his class. It's amazing that he passed the bar. Did Biden as a lawyer actually ever try a case for anyone, or did he just have his name or somebody's
I don't believe he ever worked as a lawyer. I think he got into politics immediately after he got out of college.
Okay. And I think Bernie Sanders is the same way. Bernie Sanders has never had a job, and he's probably been in politics just about in the House, probably just about as longer than Biden now, because Biden's in the White House.
Yeah,
now.
Bernie's experience was being a radical and an activist, traveling through Russia, learning how to become a communist.
and they love him in Vermont. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. It seems that it doesn't really matter what he says. He could come out and say vote for Trump, and they'd still reelect him.
Dave, I'm just really proud of you. I want everybody to know I am so proud of Dave because Dave is not a book reader, but we finally got him to read a book. He's got to eventually in his lifetime, he's got to read some books, and he's doing it, and he's doing a good job of it.
Yep.
And he sends me messages. I mean, he gets it. He's writing better. He's writing better reviews than I could ever write. He's just doing a fantastic job.
I'm going to start posting my reviews and hope people buy the book.
Go right ahead.
But I'm going to make you a promise. After I finish 6 Soft Targets, I'm going to sit down with the 2020 books. But I'm going to sit down with the 2020 books and read them the way you said to. Go through the table of contents, pick out the chapters you want to read in the order that you want to read them, and then go back and read the rest of the books. Plus, we've talked so much about the 2020 books over the years, I actually feel like I have I've probably read most of them. But I thank you for the compliment, Bill. And like I said, the book is really a pleasure to read. I was surprised that I read as much as I did yesterday because my back really started to hurt and I had to get out of the chair because I had sat in the chair too long. But yeah, go to Bill Muckler's Facebook profile, click on Messenger, send him your information, your name, your address, and he will send you the books. He's asking for a donation for the books. He self-publishes. And what I mean by self-publish is that he has found a publisher that publishes his books. And he's asking for donations now on 6 Soft Targets, the novel. He's asking for a $20 donation. And if you don't send him $20, I'm going to find out who, and I'm going to embarrass you on a Boogie with the Bull broadcast until you do. But then again, I'm going to embarrass myself because I keep saying to Bill, one of these days I'm going to make sure I have paid you because I keep forgetting. But I will send Bill. I'm actually going to send Bill the $45 for all three because I enjoy having Bill on as on the broadcast whenever he is available. I enjoy hearing from him. I enjoy learning from him. So on the 2020 books, I would show you the 2020 books, but they're buried on the bottom of the stack that 6 Soft Targets is sitting on top of right now. But go to the Bill Muckler profile. Actually, I think the 2020 books have their own Facebook page. You can go to that.
Well, yeah, and you can find me on Amazon, but you don't want to buy the print books off of Amazon because I can't sign them if they're shipped
Right.
out of the warehouse.
Right.
Actually, my print books are not in Amazon anymore. So if you go to like Amazon or Barnes and Noble and order my print book, they go to the printer that I use and they'll print them on demand, one copy at a time, and have the printer mail it to you. So that's how that goes.
Don't do that.
And,
don't do that.
They charge you taxes and
right.
and shipping and handling and all the rest of that kind of stuff with me.
Don't support.
I cover all that for you and I sign it.
Yeah,
Dave, I gotta go.
Hey, I'm very glad you stayed. I know you
Yeah.
told me 30 minutes and it's been an hour. I hope I didn't make you late for anything, Bill.
No,
Bill is going.
I gotta get all my book orders signed and over to the post office.
All right, get those.
I couldn't mail anything yesterday because everything was closed.
Yep. All right. And,
okay. God bless America, and thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. See you sometime in August.
We will see you sometime in August. And you take care of yourself. Check in while you're out. Bill, as he said, is taking the month of July off. Nothing for anything for people to worry about. Just taking the month of July off. He's earned it. He's nearing 89 years old. He's a very busy man. He has to get up every morning and sign. Like he said, today he had to get up and autograph 7 books. And I wish it was 70 books or 700 books, although I don't know if he could autograph 700 books in one day. But it would be nice to see him do that. So go to the Bill Muckler Facebook profile, then click on Messenger, or if you don't use Facebook and you use Messenger, go to find Bill on Messenger. And again, he needs your name, your mailing information where you want the book sent, a little bit of history about you, and he's going to write you a very nice complimentary autograph. On mine, it's very simple. April 23rd, 2024, he wrote, Dave, hope you enjoy the read. And I got to tell you, with 6 off targets, I'm actually enjoying it very much. Very much. And I'm actually reading more than I thought I would be able to sit and read at any one time. And I'm actually recalling it because I do have to admit, I wrote Bill a rather long what I had read, and I wrote it from memory. So I know people don't like when I write long like that, but I will work on that anyway. So read 6 off targets. We will talk about it through the month of July on Red Friday Morning Caffeine. Not sure what exactly will happen. Anybody who has been a co-host on Red Friday Morning Caffeine is welcome to come back for the month of July. The week of the 22nd. Let me get down to my calendar really quickly. July 26th, there will not be a Red Friday Morning Caffeine because Donna and I will be in Texas taking a week-long vacation, visiting family down in Texas. Our youngest son and daughter-in-law and our youngest grandson, and meeting our only granddaughter. And as you have heard me say before, this is truly a blessing on the Donna's side of the family. Donna's sister Becky, who I believe is 50 years old, was the last time on their side of the family that a daughter was born. And Joe and Jackie have just welcomed their daughter into the world. And we'll leave it on that. So July 22nd to the 30th, I believe. Let me look at the calendar one more time. Yep, July 22nd to the 30th. There will be no Boogie with the Bull broadcast. There will be no Red Caffeine, the Red Friday Morning Caffeine during that week, the 22nd to the 30th. And also, people are aware that there is no Monday morning caffeine on the 8th, the 15th, and I'm not sure about the 22nd because I have doctor's appointments that got moved to an earlier time in the day. And we'll try to figure it out. On July 13th, that's the last time we'll talk about upcoming broadcast for today. July 13th, a rare Saturday morning Boogie with the Bull will run between 10 a.m. Eastern and about 12 noon. And anybody is welcome to come and join us. And if you're concerned about getting views, the first time Randy Rhodes and I did an impromptu, didn't tell anybody, a rare Saturday morning Boogie with the Bull. We just fired everything up and did it. We had 134 people watching, and I have no idea where it is now. I really have to go back and look. I will look one more time at my profile, and we had it's not showing me what I need to see. Let me try one more time. Well, it was showing more than 5 plays now, but because I talked about live views, Facebook probably decided to just kick it down and make me think nobody watched. But it's July 5th, and everybody may still be out on vacation. Please go and enjoy your July 4th weekend. Please do. If you're here in Florida, please make sure you dress yourself accordingly if you go out. Don't do anything crazy. We have 89 degrees outside in beautiful floating island, Florida. Feels like 105 degrees. So make sure you slather your head with sunblock 666 and you wear a hat if you go out today. You might even want to wear comfortable long sleeves and white pants. But if you feel you you need to, we were out yesterday. It was probably the same 89 degrees. Didn't feel like it was 105 because I would have asked Donna to take me home. Once it gets to feeling over 100 degrees, I'm pretty much done. But 89 degrees outside, winds 0 mile an hour winds southwest. 93 is the predicted high today. 81 is the predicted low. So we have well beat low. We might hit the high later in this afternoon. 14% precipitation, 71% humidity. So there's probably a 4 o'clock percent chance of rain, or actually a 1 o'clock or 1:30% chance of rain that will be done by 2:30, and then probably, if we're lucky, because we do need the rain, a 4 o'clock% chance of rain. The nice thing about rain here in Florida is, although we do really need it to just the skies open up and rain for a long period of time every day, we get that shower here, and then a few hours later, maybe another 15, 20 minutes. So it's not like living in other parts of the country where you get hours and hours and hours of rain that turns into hours and hours and hours of snow. So Daniel Smith, I'm glad that you turned in and watched this morning's Boogie with the Bull. We were live on the Dave Wolf profile here on Facebook. We were live on the Boogie with the Bull YouTube channel. We were live on at Boogie WT Bull. That's my X profile. If you follow me over there, I will follow you. And I will retweet your stuff over there. You can retweet my stuff over there. You can even take it and share it everywhere else you can. So in final, yeah, buy the book, Six Soft Targets. Read the book when you have a few minutes, because I actually only opened it up yesterday figuring that I would read a chapter, because I was sitting at my desk and it was an accident on my desk. Nobody's to blame. My 24-ounce Bubba was full of iced coffee the other day, and decided to take a face plant on my Bluetooth keyboard for the Chromebook and shorted out the inside, and finally got a new Bluetooth keyboard yesterday. But I've been sitting at my desk a little bit too long. My back was bothering me, so I really didn't think I was going to read as much of it as I did. But like I said, the chapters in Six Soft Targets are 5, 6, 7, 8 pages. So it's a quick and easy read. And if I could remember what happened, and I can tell you what happened, like I did in the beginning of the broadcast, I can still tell you what I read and where I stopped reading. If I can tell you with the cognitive difficulties that I am going through right now, then it's just going to be a great thing. But I'm holding Bill to something. Bill said, I guess he found a bunch of material that was supposed to be in 6 that didn't get into 6. So he decided that he is going to write another novel, and it will be named Aftermath right now, I believe. So buy 6, take your time reading it, and within 2 years, when Bill says the Aftermath should be out, the next one will be out, and maybe, just maybe, the right Holly weird people will contact Bill and say, we want to take 6 and we want to take Aftermath and combine them into a screenplay that wins every Academy Award that year. I just think it was that great a book. I really enjoy having Bill Muckler on with us. I'm saddened that he can't be with us for a month. But we will keep Red Friday morning caffeine going as best as we can, except for when we can't be here. And other than that, Please, uh, please, please, please listen and pay attention to what is going on through the Joe Biden camp and the Democrats, because this is going to be the 2024 Trump Biden election is going to be the election that when our 8-week-old granddaughter and our 2.5-year-old grandson are in school, hopefully homeschooling with very smart parents, when it's time to teach them presidential history, this is probably going to be the one that they talk about. I mean, they'll talk about 2020, and then they will talk about what happened during the Biden regime. They will talk about the Supreme Court telling President Trump that most of the 34 counts were done under constitutional powers of a president. And I guess on Trump's side, that while he was campaigning as president, I guess the Supreme Court may not have come out and said, but kind of indicated that a person running for president, in theory, has constitutional powers because that's the office that they're running for, and they need to prove to people that that is what they are capable of doing. And Joe Biden is proving to you that he is not capable of doing it. I enjoy getting into the conversations with people on Messenger. Yes, I get very wordy, and some people don't like that. But if you want to get into a conversation on Messenger with me about how bad Trump is, and you can do it in a paragraph, I'm going to fire back how bad I think Biden is and give you my proof. And it's going to be long, multiple paragraph answers. Because as I said to one person yesterday, I've just scratched the surface on how bad I think Joe Biden and the Joe Biden regime is, because I've only been doing Boogie with the Bull broadcast for about 5 years now. So we've been looking at Joe Biden for 3.5, almost 4 of the 5 years. So, if you don't like what I say or anyone on a broadcast says about Joe Biden or a Democrat or anyone else in general, you are always welcome to contact me on Messenger and ask for permission to come on. Don't come into a live chat and ask for permission to come on. Send me a note on Messenger and tell me what you want to discuss and what evidence you have, because if it's more than just me, we'll fire whatever we have back at you. And the whole idea is that America makes its decision based on what they watch. And if you can't watch Boogie with the Bull Morning Caffeine Monday, Wednesday at 10 a.m., then catch it when you can. If you can't watch Boogie with the Bull Tuesday night, Thursday night live at 7 p.m., catch it when you can, because people do. And if you want to get it sent in, any Boogie with the Bull broadcast sent to you as a podcast on Messenger, I am more than happy to do that. You do have to message me, say that you want me to start sending you Boogie with the Bull broadcasts on Messenger from this date. And if you ever change your mind, then you send me another one that says you don't want it anymore. And the reason that I want that is Facebook takes anything they can, makes it spamming, takes action against people who they think are spamming. And I have said to them, no, if someone wants Boogie with the Bull in Messenger on a podcast, they will get it. But I'm going to make sure that you understand that they asked for it. When they stopped, we stopped. I'm going to change what I say about why we're on Facebook. The only reason we are on Facebook is because back in 2009, Facebook was free. And you could come on and you could say just about anything you wanted. And There was no fact checking back then, and occasionally they would fact check an article, but it really didn't matter because a public forum is public opinion, and any fact check, any articles that you bring in that support your view, support your view. And Facebook has gone so far in the opposite direction, I can't help them. But Facebook is free, and when they're not lying about 5 people having watched a Boogie with the Bull broadcast, we're getting anywhere from 40 to 150 or more live views, which tells me that people are watching, and that's the main reason why we are here. I post broadcasts as podcasts on other social media networks, and I don't have anybody watching them. So when people ask me over there why we're not live over there, or why we don't have a live chat when we're there, because nobody's watching. But if people start watching them over there on Winkin, we will make sure you have a live chat that you can take part in. I'm trying to get it so that if you watch on Winkin, you have access to the Boogie with the Bull YouTube live chat. We had it working for a bit, and then it all of a sudden stopped working. Or if we have to, and people are watching our broadcasts on Winkin, then I will pay the money to subscribe to Winkin. We will definitely add Rumble. It will not be before the first week of August, and that's a definite. Did a review of a bunch of broadcasting companies' finances, and we just can't add it until the first week of August. And that's it. So 11:17, about an hour and 17 minutes of Red Friday morning caffeine. As I said, go out there and enjoy your 4th of July weekend. We are pushing very hard right now. I'm in a bunch of groups. I have a bunch of groups where I'm an admin, or I have groups of mine that I'm an admin in, and we all work together as one big family. And right now, we are pushing very hard our Donald Trump group, which is around 3,500 members right now, with just over 3,500 members on our invite list. Pushing really hard to try to get that group up to around 5,000 to 7,000 members before the election. And then afterwards, when Trump has won the 2024 presidential election, we will blow that thing sky high here on Facebook as long as we can. So if you have an invite or are interested, go to the Donald Trump private group. It's the red, white, and blue flag that has Donald Trump pressed on it. So you're looking at the right group, 3,500 members right now. And most of them are active. Stand with Trump is another group associated with that. Street Fighters and Freedom Fighter are 2 other groups associated with that. These are groups under the community of John Johnson, who has been on Facebook for a long time, a hardcore Trump supporter. So if you are one, please come and join those groups. Always remember to join our core groups: American Regulators, Boogie with the Bull, True Patriot Talk, Conservative Freedom Defenders. I have to pull a Biden moment there because some groups are no longer with us, and I have to think for a moment. MAGA News Nation, our group with Vita Marie Harmon, and Red Patriots for America, the Red MAGA Nation, the World United as One Against Government Overreach. I probably have forgotten 1 or 2 of ours, and if I did, then I apologize, and I will make sure I have them in front of me all the time. Do go to the Bill Muckler Facebook profile and message him and get 6 Soft Targets, the novel, and read it and enjoy it. As I said, I would have shown you the 2020 books, 2020 A Clear Vision for America, 2020 A Clear Vision for Our Future, but they are buried on the bottom of the stack that 6 Soft Targets is sitting on right now. It is definitely $45 worth of the best reading you will ever have done in a long time. 6 Soft Targets will answer questions that you might have on how September 11th was pulled off, or ideas maybe that might support how 9/11 came to be and was pulled off. And the 2020 books will give you invaluable ideas on how America could be running better. Randy Rhodes is watching, so I'm going to say good afternoon to Randy. And Randy, because Bill won't be with us for the rest of July and won't be with me on July 26th, because I will be here on July 26th. So on July 12th, July 19th, and August 2nd, if Bill is not back with us, you are more than welcome to join temporarily. And when Bill comes back in August, I will see about bringing you back as a co-host, because you were, and I think that you will be able to. As I have said before, now there's a lot of stuff going on by a producer's side that I try to kick out at the same time that I'm working as a host, that I would definitely definitely appreciate having someone like Randy Rhodes, who is thorough and does not back down from his views, and has been on broadcast with Bill Muckler before, and is on broadcast with me and doesn't back down, is on broadcast with William Rayfield and generally does not back down. It would be a pleasure to have you joining us on Monday and Wednesday morning caffeines, although they only be Wednesday morning caffeines for the time being, and then move you to Friday with me while Bill is gone, and then bring you back when Bill is back, and continue Red Friday morning caffeine with Randy Rhodes, myself, and Bill Muckler as long as we can. Like I said, if you can't watch Boogie with the Bull broadcast live whenever they're on, then watch it as a profile. Make your comments in the live chat, just like you were watching it on the live cast. The only problem is that if you don't go to my profile and you watch it in a group, and you comment in a group, I don't always get notified that you commented in the group. And then when I do, sometimes I have to go watch the entire broadcast to find your comment to read it, because I do actually do that, and did that with Danny Campbell. Danny Campbell, who has watched more Boogie with the Bull broadcasts than anybody else in the history of Boogie with the Bull, could not always watch live. And when he would not watch a podcast, when it was time for him to make his comment, he would make his comment in the broadcast, and I would go and read it so that I knew what he had brought up, and I was able to address it on the next live one. Anyway, the dogs were fed, the cats were fed. I have not been fed yet, and maybe if I find some time today, I will sit and read some more of Six Soft Targets, Bill Muckler's new novel that you really need to go buy and read. Anyway, Double B's for Victory. I'm Dave Glovin, and thank you for the privilege of abusing your time for about almost an hour and a half this morning. Let's see. Copyrights. We didn't break anybody's copyrights today or trademarks. We only talked about Bill's books, and we have permission to talk about Bill's books as long as we want. I have not seen any copyright violations on YouTube for playing any of the CNN Thursday night political debate. They did post publicly as many places as they could that if anybody did use it, fair use would not apply, and they would go after you. I haven't gotten any notification from YouTube that that CNN has put in a copyright violation. And if they do, my advice from lawyers and broadcasters that I talked to about it might be that this is the test case to go after Google and YouTube if they do on fair use. But anyway, nobody cares about fair use except for me, and it is time to end this broadcast. So double B's for victory. This Boogie with the Moon broadcast is coming to an end. Today is Friday. There will not be a rare Saturday morning broadcast tomorrow. So that means we'll figure out sometime to do something on Monday, and or we will be back Tuesday night with Boogie with the Bull, Tuesday Night Live, an open discussions broadcast with me and anybody else who dares to come on and get a chance to speak. That's how it is. And on that note, we hit that one, we hit this one. Double B's